Hello, Gemini. This is going to be your June overview reading for the month of June. I'm Sherry, and this is Soul Conscious Tarot. And I have called these really raw readings, and the reason they're called really raw readings is I have no idea what's going to come up. The way I do these readings, anything can come up, and they can be any messages. They can be triggering in nature. So I do want to caution you because it just depends on what comes up. I don't know, so I want to people to understand there could be things in here that trigger you. So the way I do these is there's 3 rows. The first row is your emotional self. The second row is your soul self. And the third row is your physical self. So your emotional self is what you're feeling and thinking through the month of June. Your soul self is what your intuition may be telling you, or you may not realize it's trying to tell you. And then the third one is your physical reality, your physical self, what's going on around you in the world. And then at the end, we're going to pull one card. I aim to pull one card for love and romance for the month of June. Aim to pull one, but it could be more depending, like Taurus's decided to have more cards come through. I just go with the flow of what feels right. The way I do my readings, it's not necessarily traditional tarot. It's more of I basically use the cards as a tool to help, whatever message comes through based on what I'm seeing on the cards. It's just me using the cards as a tool, kind of help scribe channel the messages that want to come through based on what I'm feeling and thinking, whatever messages come through. So for you, Gemini, I have for your emotional self, your overall card is scribe or writer. I'm really picking up that right now, the month of June, it might be really good to journal. I'm even picking up like keeping a dream journal for some reason. You might have some really good, really good ideas that might come through in the month of June, Gemini. So you might want to be aware of that. You might want to write them down, keep a journal to keep track of how you're thinking and feeling. I also am feeling and picking up on, there might be a behavior pattern that you have, a behavior pattern that may come to light if you journal. If you write down your feelings and what you're going through, you might start seeing a pattern of behavior that you may not have been aware of, something you do that you may not be aware of, that would come through if you journal, if you write down how you're feeling and thinking and journal regularly. So that's something that you may want to do. Also, like I said, also picking up on dream journal. There you may be having a lot of dreams at this time, and so you might be having a lot of good ideas and insights, and so you want to capture those and write those down. So for June, I have this. I'm really getting that sadness is more. I'm really picking up on a feeling of like a little bit of loss and regret is what I'm feeling in your emotional self. Like almost like a missed opportunity, like that 4 of Cups, 5 of Cups, kind of a little bit of energy. But let's see what else comes through, what that might be around Gemini. Oh, well, there's cards that are upside down. So it looks like you're doing a lot of introspection in the month of June. I'm really picking up strongly for you, Gemini. Really picking up that there's some aspect of yourself that you're not liking, and you're maybe a behavior. And you're trying to gain insight on that. You're trying to gain insight on something. I think I see another card upside down. Give me a second. Yeah, I thought so. I thought I saw another card that had flipped. Okay, well, we're going to take that. Go ahead and take that card too. So, yeah, I really I feel you're trying to cut something out. And I think it has to do, Gemini, with the way you show up for people is what I'm feeling. Like, it's like you have a hard time giving of yourself. Is what I'm feeling. Or at least the Geminis, the energy that I'm picking up on, what's coming through is somebody that had, like, you have a really hard time, like, really giving of yourself. Like, when you're in relationships, it's very superficial. Like, it's like you have a hard time making deeper connections with people. And you have a tendency to cut people off quickly, or let go quickly. Like, you can, it's kind of like you easy come, easy go. And you're wanting to try and kind of change that about yourself, or you're realizing that kind of behavior has caused you to not have the deep connections in your life that you want. Is what I'm really picking up on you, for you, Gemini. And so you know, that's why I said that I think journaling is going to be really significant for you to start. If you're not journaling now, really consider doing it. Because I think, like I said, not only is journaling, like, if trying to journal your feelings, emotions, and behavior, like what you're thinking, doing, you can look back and reflect and help see the patterns that you're doing in your life, how you're thinking and feeling about certain situations, so that you know when you're reacting, when you're being, this Queen of Swords, when you're being very cutting, when you're, like I said, I really feel this easy come, easy go, like, kind of attitude where, you can take people or leave them, where you just kind of, everything's superficial. But I feel this Gemini, or the Gemini I'm picking up on, is looking for deeper meaning, deeper relationships than the superficial relationships they've had their whole life. Like, they have had trouble connecting and giving to themselves, kind of like almost a lack of vulnerability, of not wanting to put yourself fully out there. Like, you've held back, your true self. Like, you haven't really let people know who you really are. You kept that from people because you just keep things at a very superficial level with people in your life. You don't really let them know who you really are. And you're starting to realize that is the reason why you haven't formed these deep connections, which has got you, the kind of in the sadness of feeling a little bit lonely, like, because that loneliness comes from not making those deeper connections, the people that stick around, that hang around, not finding your tribe. And also, like I said, with the dream journaling, really picking up on, that you could probably, in the month of June, you might have some intuition, some insights coming through dreams, like, that might help you with this, but also might help you in other aspects of your life, that things are going to come through with dreams this month. So that's what I have for your emotional self. I think that was a really good message. Okay, we're going to go ahead and go on to your soul self. And this is, like I said, this is going to be more your intuition, Gemini. What, trying to pick up on what your intuitive self is trying to tell you, or may want to talk to you about in the month of June. What you might need to know at a soul intuitive level. Yeah, what's that card? Okay, so you have the triangle. So I'm really picking up on transformation from this triangle, that delta, the change, what needs to change, almost a feeling of transformation, so to speak, that there's something that needs to change. Almost picking up a sense of a little bit of a spiritual awakening on your part, Gemini. There might be some Geminis that are going through a spiritual awakening. So let's see. Okay, so yeah, that doesn't surprise me. You got the Tower in your soul, which doesn't surprise me, because you're trying to, like I said, was feeling really picking up on, there might be some Geminis that are going through a spiritual awakening right now, and that Tower is just reinforcing that fact, that things are crumbling down. You're really doing soul searching to try and figure out, spiritual awakenings are when we heal parts of ourselves, and see things from a new light. So we do things differently. We become a different person. It's kind of that phoenix from the ashes, where we reemerge as something new that we've never been before. But in order for that to happen, the Tower has to fall on the way we were before in our lives. And this is, these Geminis that this is speaking to are people that have gone through, a Tower moment at that soul level, where the world has been shooken up, and because of it, their world is changing. And I felt that. I felt that with that triangle, that change, that transformation. I'm really feeling almost a phoenix from the ashes kind of sense. But I think that I really feel like out of the ashes, you're really trying to figure out which way to move. Like, what is your truth and which way to move? And it draws me back to, your emotional self up here. And like I said, of how do you become this person that you're wanting to, how do you stop being the way that you were and be a new way? And that's not easy. It's not easy to make those changes and to keep yourself in that energy going forward. How do you make these changes permanent? How do you do something you've never done before? Because if you're this Gemini that has always held back and not ever been your true self to people, maybe worn masks around people, where you've tried to fit in, tried to belong, told people what they want to hear, or, kept things very light and superficial, where you don't let people in, you don't let people really get to know the true you, Gemini. It can be very hard to be raw and honest with people, to be vulnerable, to let people in. That can be very, very hard. But, your intuition is telling you to move forward. You're going to have to move forward in your truth. That Knight of Swords, you're going to have to move forward in truth and clarity. You're going to have to strip that down, that Tower moment of stripping that down, of saying, I'm not going to be this superficial person anymore. I'm going to, let people in, be a little more vulnerable, which can be very hard to do if it's something that you've never done before. Gemini, it won't be easy for sure. So just understand, be patient with yourself, be a little, patient, and give yourself a lot of love, because it's not easy to change. It's never easy to change. And I definitely see a Gemini that is really wanting to be better and change, wanting to let people in, wanting to form those deeper, more meaningful spiritual connections with people, instead of just being superficial, just having these connections that are are on the surface, you know, that don't go deep. You want to find that person that you can really, really connect with and talk to on a very, very deep, deep level. Okay, so interesting enough, for your physical self, I got 3 cards that came up. Let's see what these are. We have ride the wave, ride the wave, ride the wave of that tower. Like I said, I really feel like, I felt like Phoenix rising from the ashes, which, interesting enough, it's not a phoenix, but these dolphins are jumping up out of the water, rising up out of the waves. You know, they're riding the waves of the emotions that are going to come through, that are going to come up as you make these changes. Like I said, it's not going to be easy. So you need to go with the flow. Go with the flow of letting yourself just slowly become opening up and trying to be more vulnerable and truthful with people around you. And being, you know, you're probably going to have to be a little bit discerning, you know, which can be challenging, of who do you trust, you know. I think this is a Gemini that hasn't wanted to trust anyone with who they really are, but they're wanting to do that now, and that can be very, 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 very difficult. So you also, besides ride the wave, you have the wishing well and flying. So this is, you know, it's making that wish to have that deeper connection, something where you can be free, that flying, be free. It's even that phoenix, you know, the phoenix rises up and it flies, you know, it soars, it becomes this great creature, this great being. And with that flying, I feel like that metamorphosis of coming out of your cocoon and wanting to be, you know, more yourself, be more yourself in the world around you, you know, that free yourself. Because when you're putting on a mask, and when you're being superficial, and you're not letting people in, and you're not being vulnerable, in a sense, you're imprisoning yourself, because you can't be your true self. And when you can't be your true self, you're almost imprisoning yourself. You're almost hurting yourself in a sense, when you feel like you can't be your true self in the world. And so you will find that you can be so much more free and so much more independent and free, like that freedom. I'm going to say this because it's coming up. Even though I just have to get it out, I really felt this come through, is there might be Geminis out there that are afraid of commitment because they are afraid of being trapped, of losing their freedom. And I want you to know, like, if you are your true self, if you really expose yourself and let yourself be, you know, like, be vulnerable with people and tell people who you really are, you are going to attract the right person to you that is going to allow you to be the person that you are, because they're going to accept you for who you really are, instead of the person that you're trying to make them believe you are. So understand that when you're kind of wearing a false mask, and you're not being true to yourself and being true to others of who your true self is, you can't attract the people that are meant to be, the right people that are meant to be in your life, that'll love you for who you really are. And when you attract people, when you are your true, authentic self, you will attract those people that accept and love you, flaws and all, for who you are. And through that, you're going to have more freedom than you ever realized, because the people around you are going to be really supportive and really loving and giving to you, because they accept the full you of who you really are. Whereas right now, people are only accepting you for the person that they perceive you to be, that front, that mask that you are putting on toward them, that keeps things at a superficial level, where they don't really know who you really are, Gemini. And that's why, you know, you feel like you have the potential of getting hurt, like why you don't want to be vulnerable, because the people around you may not completely trust, because they don't really know you. and because you feel like you can't be yourself around them. So you need to, by being yourself, you're going to begin to surround yourself with people that really do accept you for who you are. And through that, you're going to be able to trust them more. They're going to be able to trust you more. And it's going to lead to being more, in essence, being more free, being able to fly. So in your physical self right now, seeing a lot, this is really talking about that mask. The masks that you're putting onto the world, what we've already talked about. I honestly just channeled all that before the cards really came out, because we got, the Seven of Swords, which is that deceptiveness of you being not only deceptive to yourself, but deceptive to others as well. And because of that, it causes conflict, both internal conflict and external conflict around you. It causes conflict with the people around you because they don't really know who you are, and you're not being true to yourself. And by you not being true to yourself, you're not being true to others. You're putting on that false mask to people in and around you. And it's causing that conflict where you feel like you can't trust people. You can't trust people. You can't be yourself around people. And because it's like, almost like this feeling of needing to make everybody happy kind of thing. That you just want to, you want everybody to like you. And so you're almost appeasing people, trying to make everyone happy. And instead of, like just letting people, understanding that not everyone's going to like you, and that if you want those deeper connections with people, those real soul spiritual connections of people that are going to stay in your life and stick around, tried and true people that you can depend on, it's going to require you being true to yourself and to others, is what I really feel like. Because, even with this Nine of Wands, it's that guardedness. You have this fence around you. You don't let anyone in. You're like, you stay right here at this superficial level, like at this level. I'm only going to let you in this much. You can't get to know the real me, is what I'm really picking up on. I think this is a really, really good message, and I really hope that this reaches the Geminis that need to hear it, because I know this, for whatever Geminis this resonates with, this will be a very tough month for you. Based on this, if you're going through the spiritual awakening, and you're trying to heal some of these things within yourself, trying to understand how to make these changes in your life, it's not going to be easy. Definitely will not be easy. So I want to tell you, I really understand that you're going to be going through a lot if this resonates with you. But I also want you to understand that you can make these changes. You can, if you are determined and want to. But definitely think about journaling. I think that's going to be really important for you. If you're trying to go through this, it's really going to help. Whether that's journaling daily on how you feel and what you're experiencing, or whether it's you're having a lot of dreams and journaling your dreams, where you might be having messages coming through in your dreams, your intuition trying to talk to you and trying to help give you some insight. So we're going to go ahead and wrap this up with the one card on love for the month of June. The Devil. Okay, Gemini. I'm going to tell you right now that what I'm getting off of this Devil is that for the month of June, you're definitely not going to be focused on deep, meaningful relationships. You may be out there having, this, I'm really picking up on just sexual energy off of this Devil of like one night stands, like that superficial energy we talked about up here, where you're just like, just wanting to have those connections, because I did pick up on that loneliness energy, and it's through that loneliness of feeling like you want to connect, like you need the attention, you need, that devil is talking about that need for attention, and getting it wherever you need, in whatever ways you can get attention from people, even if it's at that superficial level. And so there's that little bit of toxicity around that, where you just, you don't have these deeper relationships. You connect with people just temporarily, just to appease and meet a need that you may have at the moment. Which is why, like I said up here with this Queen of Swords, that easy come, easy go kind of feeling, like, you can easily just take people or leave them. So you kind of almost, in a sense, I'm almost picking up on a using energy. And I hate to say it in those terms, but with this devil here, it's like you're just trying to meet needs. Like, if you're lonely, you're out there picking up people to satisfy that, to meet that need of feeling lonely in the moment. And so you're not trying to make those deeper connections. You're keeping things, like, if you're needing attention and lonely, you're connecting to people just to fill that loneliness, that need, instead of, like, trying to really get to know somebody, building relationship, where you're not allowing yourself to be vulnerable, as we talked about here. And I see you're wanting to change that. But as far as relationships go, you're still going to be in this energy, almost this energy of just connecting with people romantically, on a superficial level, probably more sex-based, really picking that up, that it's going to be more flings than anything, just kind of like that casual sex kind of energy is what I'm picking up on for the month of June, Gemini. That it's not going to be anything deep, and it's going to be, you're only going to be looking for people when you need to fill a need, like when you're feeling lonely or sad or whatever, that you want somebody to make you feel better. It's connecting to somebody just to make you feel better in the moment, is what I'm getting for the month of June for you, Gemini. So that's what I have. That's your reading for this month. I hope it helped you. I hope that it helps some Gemini out there understand, like, if you're going through this, understand you're going through a spiritual awakening. You're trying to change who you are. You're trying to learn how to form those deeper connections, and that can be very challenging if you're somebody, if this resonates with you, and you have been that person that hasn't let people in, that you haven't been vulnerable with people. It can be very hard to let people in and to open up and be vulnerable with somebody. So understand, I know that that's very difficult to do, but understand that in the backside of it, if you are able to go through this process and allow yourself, let that tower to fall, allow yourself to walk into this process, in the end, you're going to be so much more free. You're going to fly. You're going to, that wishing well, the flight, great things are going to happen if you just ride that wave of emotion, ride the wave, let yourself be vulnerable. Great things are going to happen. You're going to find you're going to be so much more free, because you're going to really be able to be more yourself with the people you're around, because you're going to attract the right type of people that really love you for who you really, really are, when you start letting people in. So that's what I have for you, Gemini, for the month of June. I hope you really enjoyed this reading. If you did, please feel free to like, comment, or subscribe down below. And I wish you the very best joy, love, and light.